Local 1700, what's going on? Here we are today, back at it with a very important podcast. There's quite a few things we want to talk about as far as the conditions in the plant. Today I got with me, obviously I got my Vice President Eric Waters, got my shop chair, Big Sauce Theron, and then I brought up here today Ronnie Atwee. He got safety, health and safety. He's my health and safety lead in the plant. We want to discuss a few things. Before I get into that, I do want to remind everybody that check your attendance. We always say that, especially during these summer months. Hey, we wake up one day and say, hey, you know what? I don't feel like going there for whatever reason. Make sure that you can afford that on your attendance. I always advise people to put their time in advance. That way you ain't got to worry about the call in an hour before the shift. But if you do call in, make sure you call in an hour before the shift. And make sure you just stay on top of your attendance. That's one of the easiest ways to get walked out the door. It's a difficult grievance to fight. We have been fighting them, but it's a difficult grievance to fight. Also, stay tapped in with your TAP rep. The TAP rep helps you with all your educational needs as far as any type of funds that may be out there to help further your education or family members' education. EAP rep, as always, Misha and Keely are always readily available. I always tell people the EAP ain't just for drugs or alcohol. It's for a host of issues. And we know in these days that we're living in, anxiety and stress has been getting the best of a lot of us, and sometimes we just need somebody to talk to, so make sure you reach out to your EAP rep. Benefits. Keep up with your benefits. I always recommend once a month, go on there and check your benefits. Who do you have as your beneficiary, as far as if you pass away? Do you got your kids covered correctly on your health insurance? Is there any updates that you need to do when it comes to your health insurance or your benefits? We got some great benefit reps. That'd be Tamika Floyd, that'd be Damon Sanders, and we have Chanel McGraw on there. But reach out to anyone as it relates to your benefits. Here we are in July. We just had a very successful picnic, but we came back from the picnic and, it's hot. It's unseasonably hot. It's hot out there, right? And being in the plant, we do recognize that if it's hot outside, it's burning up in the plant. But this podcast really is to talk about the future, but we can't get to the future unless we talk about the past. And I know that Eric been around for how many years, Eric?
They're going on 32.
32 years. Now, Ronnie, you been around how long?
Close to 27.
Close to 27. I got my young blood.
What's that number, Sauce?
Yeah, what's that number, Sauce?
That number low, but it's all good.
How many years is that, man?
14.
14. And myself, I got 26 years. And it's interesting because I know Sauce been to a couple of plants already from Warren Truck, and then he came over here. But way back in the day, I remember working in a paint shop back on the cylinder deck. The cylinder deck was abutted to the ovens, right? And it was like torturing hot, right? Torturing hot. And we complained, we stopped work, we did a whole lot of things. They used to bring out these big Gatorade tubs of juice or whatever it was. What was the sports drinks, right? To kind of keep your body hydrated with electrolytes. And after complaining so much, they put in misters, the kind that you go to Cedar Point with. I can't tell you the misters helped because that water will dry out your skin right by the ovens, right? But it was hot. It was hot. And I'm not comparing that to today's heat, but I am saying, hell, it was hotter than hell back then, right? I remember, you wore these suits because we had to wear paint shop suits with no clothes underneath them. And you still was dripping wet. And it just took a series of events and complaints and issues and conditions and the union itself fighting to get that situation changed, right? And when I say change, now paint shop have tempered air. They didn't do that because they wanted to automatically. It was a series of events. We're gonna talk about some of those events. I know we're in body shop, over in trim, those areas. We had a fan one every 40, 50 feet, I remember they used to have big circular fans at the end of the line that blew air through because they didn't have fans at every feet. And you had the hot machineries going. Back then, the condition of the plant was a lot worse now because there was oil and stuff everywhere, dripping all over the place, dust and stuff. It was hot once again. You had what we call sack men back there. The sack men that run around, they give you a break, give you a break because the line never stopped. I don't even recall, to be honest, heat relief back then as far as, stopping the line early or not. But it was hot. You need to go to medical. Obviously, you went to medical. They gave you some Gatorade and sent you right back to work, right? Times was different. We shouldn't stay stuck in those times. I'm not saying that. We should always want to progress. And as a union, we should be fighting. As leadership, it's up to us to fight to make sure that our people and our union, our organization is progressing. But talk about some of those days, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, it was rough, back in those days, and we had to deal with a lot of things that, the membership has to deal with now. And particularly, I'm going to bring up a situation that happened, and this was in the early, like 1998, 99, when Grady was our skilled trade committee man, and we were getting ready to do a walkout because of the heat. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget, Sandy Dix walked past us and said, "Y'all sit down. Y'all don't have enough time to do what we're getting ready to do. So y'all stay back and stay on your job." And a couple of the seniority people, they went out of the plant, and they knew they were going to get suspended. They had a lot of time. Their pockets was in place, so they didn't have to thread over it. And then our union did our thing. But that is a different from what's going on today. And people have to understand, this is more so the same situation we had when we did COVID, where everybody was affected by a situation that had nothing to do with the corporation. This was a act of God, man-made, whatever. So everybody was being affected, not just the plant. And those situations have to be handled differently because we don't have contractual, guidelines for that. That's when we look to the EPA, our state government, our OSHA, and the federal government. And just like now, just like then, the federal government was slow to acknowledge that COVID even existed. We stood in the alley. Theron, you was there. And we told people, hey, do not leave. You have to stay. Do not leave. People were on the phone with international people, were on the phone with state government, and we were calling back and forth, hey, what are we going to do? Everybody needs to stand fast. Federal government finally made the call. That's what opened up the benefits, because it's a difference when they say we recommend you stay home or they say we mandate you to stay home. When they recommend you to stay home, that means, hey, if you can, you stay. But until the federal government mandates and says, hey, we mandated everybody stay home and only essential workers come out, that's when federal benefits kick in, that's when state benefits kick in. That was the things that helped people during COVID because the 365 was double. And you can't stage a walkout unless you have that mandate from the federal government if we are not falling in those levels that deem dangerous. Now, everybody knows that this situation is affecting everybody. President called me the day we was getting ready to leave. He was like, hey, I'm going back up to the plant. The committee people were already there after doing a whole shift. President did a whole shift. I did a whole shift. We all walking out the door. I ended up going to emergency because of underlying health conditions that took me out that I was not able to go into the plant. But every last one of them went back into the plant and stayed till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning advocating for the employees, advocating that, hey, this is a serious situation. Plant manager, labor supervisor, high-level labor supervisors, labor relations people was there, and they were there to do two things. That first thing is to advocate for the employees to make sure that we're doing everything that they're supposed to be done for them according to the contract. That was their first reason to be there. Their second reason was to be there was that if any problems arise as of contract disputes, they got people in-house to deal with those things. And that's where people have to take their emotions and their fear out of the decision making, because you can make a bad situation worse if you do the wrong thing.
So let me jump in there real quick, Eric. You know, that particular night, as you stated, we all came back up to the plant. Actually, I was up at the plant twice that night. I came up earlier, I think it was between 5 and 7, because of the haze and the smoke and things. Rolled through, I went over to medical, saw all the people in medical, had some conversation about, hey, what we're gonna do for relief. At this point, this is before the work stoppage or the blue line came. Got to secure some additional time on break. I know break is not always the all be all. I'm working within the confines of the contract. Went home and I did get a call, come back, right? When I got a call, come back, you called me and said, hey, blue line, they're on the blue line. What our members need to understand, as Eric was stating, is sometimes you just got to hold your horses and not jump the gun and think with more, not so much emotion, even though it may be per se an emotional event, don't get me wrong, but with logic and with what's gonna fall within a winning contractual language argument. A lot of folks was expecting us as leadership to say, hey, I see y'all on the blue line, let's all walk. That's what they expected us to do. For all the groups that I spoke to, 'cause I did speak to groups of folks, you know, the first thing I said is I support everything y'all doing. I understand why. I agree why y'all doing it. I understand that. And here's your options. And I presented the options. Hey, y'all can maintain the stance. I'm gonna support it. Or we can go back and negotiate and try to get some more things that will make this a little bit more tolerable, comfortable, won't correct the issue, and we all can live another day to fight another day. I know from reading these books, contract books and all the other books, that there are certain things that falls within unstrikeable issues as relates to health and safety, right? I know that. And I know that if we don't fall within those guidelines, as a leader, as an elected leader who took an oath, I will be leading my people off the cliff to say, let's all walk, knowing that this particular issue, as bad as it was, will end up being very, very negative effect to the people that I represented.
It'll be a dereliction.
Yeah,
Be a dereliction
The
of
dereliction of duties. I like that. And what I did know, which I didn't know at the time, but I did know that I needed to tap on my resources, which once again, I have our health and safety rep. We have a health and safety rep on each shift. We got Ronnie, we got James, we got Shantae. I saw all of them that night. Hey, what is the readings? Give me a snapshot of what the situation is. Do we have numbers and facts to support this argument if I tell these folks to walk out of here? If we don't, okay, what can I do within reason of the contract as it relates to health and safety? What is my standing, right? Is the ventilation working? Are we sure? What's not working? All those things plays in a factor. When I gathered that information, then I have to tell the people the truth. Hey, look, at this point, we're not at this particular point, or we're waiting for certain numbers to come back. Yeah, I feel the burn in my eyes. You went to the hospital. I felt the burn in my throat, right? But at the end of the day, I have to make sure that I'm within the contract. And what happens is if I let everybody out that night, and the company took us to arbitration in the court, ultimately, for all the time that we were down, they would have sued International for and the local to repay that money because they would have counted that as lost time, right? And then not only the finances part, they would have took that group of folks and said, okay, it's 30 of you guys, we're gonna terminate 22, we're gonna reinstate 22 of you guys, possibly unconditional, and those 8, we're gonna look at all the SOCs, attended, they're gonna microfilter that down and say, to set an example, you guys are fired, and now you're gonna have to fight through the grievance system, which may end up being however it may turn out to be. That would be irresponsible, right? Very irresponsible. We assess that even as our members are in their emotions of what's happening, and we can relate to the emotions what's happening. I need our members to understand, and a part of this video is about what? Educating our membership. So Ronnie, can you give me some of the rules as it relates to heat index, air quality, anything else that we're talking about on this topic?
Yep. So that night, well, not just that night, the last couple days, and then before shutdown, you know, the 3 days we had where the heat index was over 100. So we do our temperature reading. We have the ability to do that in the plant. We have the equipment to do it. We check for the heat index. So we do have a standard manufacturing instructions that the company put in place. Anytime the heat index is above 100, then we have to go into a work relief program, which is negotiate extra breaks, extra time for lunch, and extra time for the other 2 breaks on all shifts. So we've done that, and we had readings above 100. We've had readings at 109 yesterday on second shift. We got up to 109, and that's the reason for the breaks, for the extra breaks. But there is no set temperature where you can say, all right, send everybody home. We don't have that.
Right.
We don't have that. I know a lot of people throw numbers out there. I've even heard people, and I've got text messages like, isn't it supposed to be 85 degrees and we go home? Like, there's no set temperature.
So we operate off of what? Heat index?
Heat index, yeah.
There's
And
a lot of
that's
factors
the
in that,
last
right?
that's the last few years. We
Yeah.
never had that before in our
Mhm.
corporate standard. It was just off the temperature. Hey, when it hit 90 degrees, put water out, ice,
Mm-hmm.
and that was it. That's new in the last few years as far as the heat index and the work relief.
Right, right.
We didn't have that, and that's new.
And there's a couple of factors that factors into heat index, but heat index is basically, if it's 90 degrees, it can actually feel like it's 103,
Feel like 100,
4,
exactly.
right?
That's what the heat index is, and we measure the heat index inside the plant,
Right.
not outside the plant.
And y'all take a couple of measures. I know when I talked to you multiple times, one of the places they run to, you guys run to all the time is where? Chastity, because that's one of the
Chastity,
hottest areas, right? Then y'all go over to the mezzanine
Taking
deck.
readings everywhere in the plant. Low bake is our worst area in the plant because they got radiant heat because they use the lamps
Yep.
to do their job, so that kind of adds to it, and they fall under a different set standard, which you deduct like 10 degrees from the heat index. So they really go into a work relief program when the heat index is 90 for low bake due to the radiant heat.
So let me ask you, Ron, since I got you sitting right here, what have we been doing, and have we been successful in doing that this year, as it relates to the ice chest, the water, breaks, just the normal general breaks of the additional 5 minutes? What have we been doing? And I know it's a shop chair. That's one of the things I call you on to make sure that we got in place.
Yeah, with the ice chest they've been full, and the water, it's been a little disappointing with the water because it's accessible, it's out, but some of our own don't even want to go get it, and I don't understand how. And I ain't calling no individuals out, but we gotta set. I don't understand how a team leader or somebody off the line don't want to go get water for their own. We gotta take care of ourselves first and foremost. So I've been asking my stewards to go get water, ride and get it, but that be disheartening because like, hey, that's your brother and sister standing next to you. You can't let them just go out without water. I've been getting the complaints about the brand of water they get. At the end of the day, I can't force them. It ain't toilet water. It's closed, sealed water that's coming in. That's what we made them commit to, and that's what they've been delivering. At the point that it's not the brand that you like. I'm young, but I was raised by old cats. Self-preservation is the first law of the land. I watch my people come through the, and I know I'm supposed to say this. I watch y'all come through the alleys and through the gates without a book bag, without lunch, without nothing. And I know we in an era of Uber Eats and all of that, but you gotta come to the plant prepared for war, because that's where we going in when we walk in there. It's hot. I need y'all to come in with water. I need you to come in with an igloo that can keep your water cold all day, because you need to make it back home to your family in one piece. If they come and give us some management, which we forcing them to do, that should just be extra. That should be in addition to what you already brought in. We not bums. We make a couple dollars, and I'm not going back. And y'all been on me. Ryan, we in emergency status. We just making all this money. Yeah, so you got enough to go buy some water. And you can go get the bougie water with your own money. Fiji, all of that. I mean, you can go get the glass bottle. I drink water out of glass
Hey,
bottle.
I'm laughing because I'm drinking
The
this
Voss-
Kirkland. I ain't gonna look at my
the Voss-
brain.
the Voss
You can get the
water.
Voss water every day, but I need y'all to do that for me because it's rough. It's rough in there, but have it for yourself to be straight. And then when they bring it out, if you want to drink their stuff and save yours for another day, that's perfectly fine. I look at y'all. Some of us wear Cartiers in there, and I look at our feet because that's number one. We got $200-300 shoe, and I'm fine with that. But we gotta go get that $10 case of water. Sam's got it for $5. I ain't giving no shout outs to nobody, but the Kirkland brand where we supposed to be shopping at, they got it for $5 or $6, a whole case. Please, y'all. But back to what the question was, yes, management has been on point, and I ain't shouting them out. The water there, the ice is there. I asked my members, come on, y'all, let's work together. Let's make sure we get it out to the people, and let's keep it going. But it is there, and it's been there, and it's not at the last minute because the committee is in the meeting. Soon as we see the temps, we own it. We make it show. Thank you to the safety team. They out there. They texting us before I can even. I know Ronnie tired of me. He's sending it to me before I can even say something. Ryan, heat index. We sending out the emails. We talking to the Bulls. We talking to the team lead, so we making sure that the breaks are happening. And now we're making sure that we saying this is a heat break. And I know that people get mad at me. Well, Ryan, 5 minutes ain't nothing. It's more than what we even entitled to. Cause we right now we hustling, we bustling, we negotiating. They didn't give us nothing. We calling in the middle of the night, and we call them when we see the temperature coming. We not waiting to the last minute. We looking at it. We already know next week. I think the high might be like 82 degrees, 87. We're not even going that high next week. That's how much we watch it. I'm telling you what the temperature is next week, because it's a part of the job and a part of the description.
Yep.
And the killer part, the key word that you said today, we are in emergency status. And now we're trying to negotiate, litigate, get a firm understanding of separate.
Separate.
Is a very, very good
Yes,
term. Our plant from that emergency language.
Yes, sir.
And we're having conversations with plant manager, labor team, they're having conversation amongst themselves. But what's in that emergency status language and in our critical status language is two things: fire, acts of God, and state mandates. People have to understand, because I saw somebody put up some language on social media and was like, hey, according to this language, we're supposed to be able to walk out of here. That language was not meant for what you're trying to do. Historically, the plant, before we had built the new paint shop, and we only had one paint shop, one body shop, we had to shut the plant down because the paint shop fumes were coming into GA. And we had to get the people out here. Ronnie was there. He had to do the snipper. He was on second shift with us at the time. And the pollution in the plant exceeded what was outside. So we moved everybody out of the plant, out into the lobby areas of the yard, between the buildings, the basketball courts when we had them, everything. But the plant didn't allow anybody to go home, if people can remember that, if you were there. And we had to keep going in, checking readings. They had big fans that they brought in trying to blow all of these pollutants out of the plant, but they still didn't want people to go home. And this is the trick bag people get them in. The contract language is not only for us to hold them to the fire, but it also holds us to the fire. It don't give us the right to just walk out of the plant anytime we want to. And if any leader tells you that, that's a serious problem, because they're leading you off a cliff. People had to stay on the grounds. Some people chose to leave, got in their cars and left, and ended up getting suspended and had to get renegotiated back in. This is a natural disaster type situation where the pollutants in the plant is the same as the pollutants outside of the plant. And you can go to management, which our president, you did, hey, this is a situation we need to send people home. But he has a boss. His boss has a boss. And that mandate was, y'all keep building until either OSHA or MIOSHA or EAP, EPA or the state or the federal government tells us this is a mandate. So if we walk out of the plant, that's an illegal strike. That's a serious problem. We can shutter our plant because we already got a plant in Mexico that wants to take our work. And we can lose a shift, a product, or anything doing the wrong thing. So we can't let an emotional outburst make a decision that we'll all regret. Because the first thing you do, we do a legal strike and you walk out of there and they cut your badge off, cut your pay, then they coming for your car. And then you like, wait a minute. It's a serious problem. So we have to be careful the walls that we attempt to walk through, because some of them are brick.
And if I could jump in there, I just want to state I agree with everything Eric said, and we not here to back and forth with our members, but we human, we got ears, eyes, and we got hearts and emotions, and I keep mine. Been learning to keep them in check more, but as a leader, I got to look you in your face and tell you, we walking off a cliff. It's my job to show you don't walk off a cliff. I'm your lawyer. You don't want your lawyer taking you in the courtroom telling you you're going to get probation and the judge slam down and tell you get life. I had some people saying, well, I'm ready to sit out. I'll do my couple months. Where you see it at that say they even have to bring you back? There's nothing in the book that says that. So as me, it's not about being scared. It's not about oh y'all letting Auntie Stella whoop you or you letting this happen. It's about you put people in position to have your best interests at heart, and that's what we got to do. Even the tough decisions when we got to tell you no, when deep down inside we all wanted to say yes because the conditions was bad. They was bad, but they was within the range because we had them in there checking. And we tell you, management ain't your friend. A friend would care about you and say go home. But them ain't your friends, nor your family. So they just wanted their number. So just keep that in mind. We ain't out here, we understand, but we got to make the decision in the right frame of mind when everybody else are radical. We got to make sure that we always thinking, and that's what they've been teaching me. You always got to be under control at all times.
And I got a question for you, Mike.
Yes, sir.
People on social media were saying that, hey, this plant went home. Hey, this plant went home. This plant went home. But nobody understood the power and the demand that's on Sterling Heights Assembly Plant.
So let me. I was just about thinking that. First thing, just before this even happens, right? This phenomenon happened. You know, I had a conversation with you. I had a conversation with Ron, the whole committee. Hey, did you see the news report? Stellantis is being put in a position as a company to be profitable, more profitable than they've been the last couple of years, all because of the Ram vehicle. The Ram vehicle, which is being produced at our plant. So even though we are under emergency status, trying to get out of it, like you say, separate, I like that word, separate out of it for contractual reasons, right? We do still understand that we are carrying the corporation as we have always been with this product, and the demand is going to be there. So when things happen in the world, to your point, they're also looking at, okay, even if, and I'm going to use the word if, I'm using the word if for a reason, even if we sent JNAP home, or we sent Warren Truck home, we're looking at the dollars and cents of what this product makes. That's what the company is looking at. And the losses are tied to that. So hypothetically, if JNAP is having slow selling vehicles with 100 days worth of vehicles in the field, then it may not hurt the profit margin to send them home based off the scenario. But if SHAP, which is our plant, has so many orders with less than 30 days of orders in the field just launched, their brains is, and we have to run, right? Now, the reason I used if, because when all this was happening, as a president, I do what presidents do, right? I called, hey, JNAP president, what y'all doing over there? Hey, Warren Truck president, what y'all doing over there? I calls around to the other presidents to find out what's happening over there, what's their situation. They had the same situation. We all know this wildfire smoke was not only in the plants, it was all over the state, right? All over the mid-Michigan, not mid-Michigan, mid-century of the country, Midwest, yeah, of the country,
that
right?
house?
I was Ford, GM, everybody had the same issue, right? But my question was, are y'all going home? You know, we build off each other, we play off each other. Hey, y'all let JNAP go home, even thinking about the volume, right? And the answer I got from JNAP was no. We over here arguing and fighting with management just like y'all are over there, Mike and Shop, but no. We're negotiating longer breaks, and they all tempered there, the whole plant. No, we're not going home. Warren Truck, y'all heard y'all was going home, or y'all didn't go home, but they didn't schedule that Friday. That Friday was already foreseen to be not scheduled. I got that from International. Hey, Mike, that has nothing to do with this. They were already not scheduling that Friday. Now, the Marshall Center, I can't answer for that. You know, that was some, lack of a better term, and maybe because I don't know all the details behind it, that was some fuck foul shit.
But it has no financial impact on anything.
On the product itself. But you best believe, not only my conversation is with the president, my conversation that day is to International, my conversation is to the plant manager, and it's going over and beyond that. It's to safety locally, it was to safety internationally. Hey, where are we at? How do we address or deal with this issue, right? But you can't feed into because you have people on social media saying, I heard this plant went home. Then you have somebody from that plant say, no, we didn't, we here. But we feed into that rumor mill, right? And a lot of times we can't deal with rumors or feelings, we have to deal with facts. We have to deal with the contract, right? And what we are able to do within reason and right that falls within that contract. And that's the situation we was in. Never ever think that your leadership is not supporting you. Sometimes, as you said, I don't know, you said, you don't want your lawyer to tell you a pipe dream that's going to end up putting you in jail forever, right? So it's like you get the story, hey, the older head say, hey, I got seniority, I got some money, we'll take the hit, you younger folks go back, because y'all may not be able to stay out there as long as we're gonna stay out there. There has to be logical reasoning behind what was happening. Now, with that being said, and I put a newsletter out or a letter of communication for the leadership. I know it's long, so everybody probably didn't read it, but I did say in there, I did understand and support what was done in the stance of having to stand on the blue line, only because it heightened the issue of where we need to be. And the conversation that me and Eric had, most definitely with the plant managers, if we had temper air, maybe the effects wouldn't have been as drastic, right? What happened in North Paint Shop and in the body shop over there? Yeah, they had the smell.
Yeah,
and they
you
didn't
are gonna
necessarily have
get the
all
smell
irritants,
regardless.
right?
Yes, yeah.
And that's something we need to be pushing for going forward. We need to have temper air plant wide,
Absolutely.
90, GA, vinyl, trim, chassis, all the way across. It's not like the company can't afford it.
What was the last one you said?
Chassis.
I love it. Chaz.
Chassis.
Chaz.
You know, all the way across the plant. You know, why? Because now we have a system now, the A will battle the heat that we're going to continue to deal with. Global warming is real.
Yep.
Every year we see the temperatures changing, right?
Absolutely.
Then if we have a situation like the wildfires, because was it last year?
Last
2
year.
years ago.
Last year.
2
We
years
had
ago was
something
bad.
similar, right?
It was
Yeah.
California fires and it was Canada fires again. And all of that smoke came this
Our
way
way.
and we still had to wear masks. And that was the conversation that we had with the plant manager. We're starting to see a pattern
Yes.
of these issues that's affecting the state of Michigan, not just Sterling Heights Assembly Plant. It's affecting states. It was, hectic in Minnesota.
Yeah.
It was hectic in Ohio. It was hectic in Michigan. These problems have to be addressed, but they have to be addressed with the business case that all of these problems are causing downtime. And if you guys want to consistently run product, you need to invest in Sterling Heights Assembly Plant with air conditioning that can block these things. And then you need to fix all the roll-up doors. You need to make sure that they're able to be closed and they're able to be sealed.
Dock doors.
Yeah, all of the dock doors. There are conversations that's being had that's saying, hey, we're raising our hand telling you that this is a problem. And the plant manager and everybody else is saying, yeah, we agree with you guys. This is a problem. So it's not like work is not being done, but when people expect us to turn this ship like a speedboat, it's not going to turn that way. This is a big cruise ship boat, and you can't just make a quick turn with it. We have to negotiate these things. It was years ago we didn't have bathrooms on the first floor in Sterling Heights Assembly Plant. Those things were negotiated. And people have to understand that the company is not giving us anything. Everything that we've got, we have to fight for and negotiate for. And the only thing that hurts that is when the president is out there doing his job, the shop chair is out there doing his job, the health and safety rep is out there doing his job. I'm in the hospital, but I'm still on the phone with the deputy plant manager. I'm doing my job. The stewards and everybody else is out there doing their job. Majority of the members are doing their job, but then you have that 10%, 5%, 3% that want to get on the internet and trash the whole entire UAW, and management is sitting there looking at them like, okay, now we see. All we got to do is supply a little pressure to them, and then the whole
And they
house
break.
of cards come falling down. You guys are not doing anything to help yourself. We have to stand together in solidarity. Were y'all right to come off of the line and stand on that blue line? You was 100% right, because what's going on out there in the air is very seriously. Supervisors, area managers were 100% wrong, threatening people, telling them to get back on the job or you fire, and not taking that situation and using it as a training tool to say, hey, we all in this together. We understand, that you guys have fears of this. We have them too. But, we got to make sure that we're working together to get out of this. This didn't happen. And management needs to bear the blame for all of the frustration and the
chaos.
the chaos that was going on, because one, they did not handle it in a professional manner. They didn't handle it.
So when we was in the meeting today, or not today, yesterday, I think you asked the communication. It was communicated. That we were talking to Chuck Patton.
Yeah.
What's going on? What we putting in place, et cetera, et cetera. And I had to jump in there and tell you, I know it wasn't. I started because he said he didn't know. And I said I get an answer. It wasn't until I got there and then we met with Brad Radar, and I said, hey, Go out there and tell the people, because I'm finna hit the floor too. This is what we're trying to put in place. Don't just run out there, hey, I'm writing you up. I'm right. Oh, you can't go to medical. Explain. Hey, medical only got 2 nurses. They only can see 4 people at max at a time. 100 people in the lobby is not going to get you there any faster, right? It's still going to be in the smoke, right? That was not communicated. So management has not done certain things that they know for sure they can do better to temper it down. I did tell the plant manager, I agree and support those folks that stood in that line. The difference is between me and them is the education of understanding what's in this contractual book that we can and can't do. What I do agree with them is because we got everything on our phone now. You can look and get the chart. Oh, here's the setting for air quality for the state of Michigan. Oh, you can see all this. I say, if I was on a job with a lack of information, I'm choking or suffocating in my viewpoint, then we need to stop working, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's the first human emotion. The next one is, what can I do within my contract? What is health and safety saying? Are we impermissible? If I'm really sick, I should take myself to medical. I mean, there's other things that we can do while things are being sorted out and worked out. You know, nothing happens, like you say, it's a big ship. Nothing happens overnight. But since we're having the conversation, once again, let's not talk about today. Let's talk about tomorrow. We already said we need temper air, right? When they did that survey, 2 weeks ago? Did anybody put temper air on those surveys?
And I was really for.
I mean,
I was actually-
even for contract
Oh,
negotiations,
even for contract,
even
you
for
know,
resolution.
I know we shot a popsicle resolution through there, right? Because you said earlier, the company don't give us nothing. Everything we
Don't give us nothing.
negotiate.
That's negotiated.
So
You know-
I'm gonna take it back.
Go ahead.
Like I know Eric started out earlier. We used to have back in the in the old paint shop, no air, and then in General Assembly we used to have 3 ice machines. Not ice machines. It was ice collect where you had to grab a bucket and scoop the
out,
ice
yeah,
out of it,
yeah,
unsanitary.
yeah.
That's what we had.
That's why we got rid
We
of
only
it,
had
that's
3 of
what-
them, one in each cafeteria. We didn't have ice dispensers. We didn't have fridges where you can stock the fridge with water for the next shift and then continue. We weren't getting ice like we do now. We have ice throughout the whole summer. Not just the ice dispenser. I'm talking about the ice chest that they rent throughout the whole summer. I actually went to Myers a couple times back in 2012, 13 to go and buy ice, me and the labor rep.
Yep.
Because we didn't have enough ice in the plant.
Right, I remember doing
We
that.
weren't getting, I mean, that's what we used to deal with. And what we've got, we had to negotiate. They just didn't give us that because they gave us that. I used to go around, used to have these little igloos, put water and ice in it. That's what we had before we had and it was one person plus the stewards. You were the steward at the time, Mike. Eric was the steward.
And we
The
used to
work,
ride
the,
around
work,
our car-
the
yeah.
work was divided just between
Yeah.
5 people.
Yeah, we had to go
To your
pick up,
point
yeah.
earlier, Ron, like you said, we got to go get the stuff ourselves, the team leaders and that. It was just 5 people handling the whole plant.
With the carts.
The whole plant, with a cart.
Yeah.
I mean, we came along from 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and we still got to do more. We need
But
to
the
do
company
more.
has fundamentally changed, and that's fine, and it's not fine, because what I do see within the company is they're stripping away the power of decision making from bulls, area managers, which is area managers and center managers. 'Cause I gotta bring this up. We did have a center manager, and I know this is gonna get to the center manager. So I'm putting you on the spot. I remember one center manager through negotiations said, "All right, union, I'll bring an ice cream truck in. Everybody get 1 or 2." Yeah, I remember who she is, and I give her credit. Sean Jeffers, she did bring it in. But that was through negotiations. That was through conversation. That was through debate, right?
Randy Tinsley brought Gatorade
Yeah.
and brought trucks full of Gatorade, and we loaded up and go put it out in the area.
We got ice cream trucks too. Remember
Yeah.
when we got the ice cream
Yeah.
trucks?
Yeah, ice cream truck. So it's things that the management can do, but now because everything's filtered to the top, and now they waiting for somebody to
They
make
can't
a
make that
decision.
decision
They can't
themselves.
make that decision. They used to have a card, like you say, you have to go to my, where the center manager could say, "Hey, take this card, go over there and do X, Y, and Z, bring it back to the plant." Now they can't do that no more, right? Things have changed, but as things change, we have to change. Our power, and I always say this, our power comes from the people. I always say this about myself. I am your elected leader, but really I'm a puppet on the string, and our membership is really, I speak for them of what they want me to say, but it has to be within these books. Because I can't put you out on the streets not guaranteeing, to your point, that I can get you back. Now, I'm about to open up, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, me and Eric, and the staff down here. We're finna open up the local website, where we're not waiting to 2028 or 2027 to start taking in local contract negotiations, absolute resolutions. We're gonna start taking in resolutions now and start putting them in the file for that time. That way, cause last time, how many did we get in?
Like
Okay.
27.
Yeah,
It was very, very, it was very, very
Like
minimal.
75.
Yeah, it wasn't over 100.
it wasn't over 100.
And I think people have short memories when stuff happen, and then things get, not gonna say better, but more the norm. That they forget. I remember when COVID came and they made us go to work.
Remember when the plant flooded?
I remember when the plant flooded. Yeah,
And
yeah.
everybody still couldn't go home right away. Everybody had to get out in our ways and wait for that car to come down and
To
say,
say
hey,
let 'em go, yeah.
let them go. And then when they
Everybody
did let
got
them go,
stuck out there.
everybody got stuck, what, 15, 14 miles by the
15,
Lowe's?
13 mile.
People was on the
remember that,
freeway, cars filling
People
up
came
with
back
water.
and slept in the parking lot in their
Yeah.
cars.
Yeah.
But at that time, people were mad at us.
Hmm.
Why aren't they sending us home? Why are we standing around for?
Mm-hmm.
We can't make that call. The line stopped. We stopped production, but management has got to come from up above to make that call.
I'm asking people, you know, tempered air throughout the whole plant. There are plants that have it. We know the company make enough money to be able to put the system in. I think the biggest issue is how they put it in, why they trying to run a number one truck at the same time. Cause you have to actually shut parts of the building down while you're doing stuff like that, the infrastructure within itself. But that should be one of our number one resolutions that we need to send to the table. Not just locally in a local contract, but internationally.
International, yeah.
And we can work together in conjunction and make it happen. But our members got to speak on that, right? Filtration system and battery language are more in-depth language than what the SM1 say currently.
Yep.
And what the local contract says currently, because in the local contract on the ventilation is only one paragraph. We need to expand on that. We got a lot of brilliant minds on the floor. You know, not only putting your boots on the ground or standing 10 toes down the blue line has an effect, but we need you to put your brains to pen and paper or two, as we use now, email, and send it out so we can have it on record so we can have that fight, right? The history has shown us that if we don't recognize our history, we repeat it, right? We recognize that history. That's why I got you guys on here, because I know you guys have tenure just like I do. But on top of that, in order not to repeat it, we have to put some action. And I'd say it again, social media always says the devil. You're not gonna get the response that you think you're gonna get by going to social media.
Absolutely not.
You're gonna get the response that you think you want to get by participating and being active to make a change within your union. I continue to say that, you know, because everything doesn't have to be contentious where we fighting each other. It's about us putting our brains together, our footwork together, our minds together, and working together collectively to make things happen. Anything you want to add to this, Ronnie?
Can I
Yeah,
jump in there?
yeah, go ahead.
Ronnie, because I
Yeah,
got a couple
yeah.
questions for Ronnie. It is for you.
Yeah.
So Ronnie, what can you explain to me? Because I know you've been teaching me, and I actually know. I think I can actually go work for Channel 7 to be on Doppler. I'm about to put my application in. Y'all ain't about to keep stressing me. I'm about to go be a meteorologist. But can you explain to me what the ranges are? But you already did the heat index, but can you for the fog, the air, the particles? Can you explain that range?
So this is like this the wildfires and
Yes,
and
can you
the
explain the
smoke.
range of the?
That's all new, right? We don't have the equipment in the plant to check for that. So I was gonna say, when they walked up on the blue, we didn't have it. We were checking for heat index. We got our equipment that checks for carbon monoxide, you know, the oxygen level in the plant, you know, and then things like that, hydrogen sulfide, but that's not imperative to that. But that's what we have. VOCs in paint shop, we can check for that. So we had to wait for corporate, which they came in. They were here at
Like 3 o'clock in the morning?
no, before
Yeah,
that, 12:30,
12:30.
12:30, and then I went out with the corporate hygienist. Even the corporate lead for safety was in the plant, and they brought the equipment with them, and they checked for the particulates, which is measured by milligrams per cubic meter, and we were below the permissible limit. So to your point earlier, if you would have took everybody out, we would have been in the wrong.
Now, what's the permissible limit? Because this number was blowing me
10,
away.
10
Yeah.
milligrams per cubic meter.
And
And
we
what
were,
And we were at point, like in the last 2 days, we're ranging from 0.4 to like 0.9.
So let me-
Outside, we had readings above 1. We were coming in at a couple times 1.5, 1.4. Today, the numbers are lower outside. It was 0.9. But this whole time, the last 2 days, we've been measuring it every 2 hours, and it's below the permissible limit.
Can I ask you one more question?
Way below the permissible limit.
What's OSHA standard?
50, yeah. So
The people finna
let's
get
talk
mad
about
now,
this.
but go ahead.
The company standards are more strict than my OSHA standards. So for the particulates, it's 15 milligrams per cubic meter.
And what's our standard?
Ours is 10.
All right.
Same thing with carbon monoxide. My OSHA is 50 parts per million.
So basically, we was
Ours
waiting
is
for
35.
we was waiting for OSHA then to shut us down.
And
We've
it
been
don't
waiting for a
happen.
long
So,
time.
and then
Yeah.
speaking of my OSHA,
I was
let's,
about to ask
let's
you,
talk about
yeah.
the heat stress. So there was a complaint back from July 2nd. And another thing, when you call my OSHA, they're not going to show up the next day. And sometimes it takes them 2 weeks to show up, which they did. They showed up on Tuesday, this past Tuesday, from a complaint on July 2nd
yeah.
about the heat and indoor, air quality, as far as no air circulation. They showed up, and what they do is, they do an opening conference. They ask for a lot of stuff. They ask for medical records. They ask for the SMIs. What's our policies and procedures when it comes to heat stress? And then we go out on the floor after that. And the inspector wanted to do air quality testing. He has the same equipment that we have for the heat index and for the heat stress monitor. So we did 40 minutes in every department. We did final, we did trim, we did chassis. It was over about 2.5 hour time span. And that was on Tuesday. And I know I was getting a lot of calls from the steward, like, why aren't they giving out, heat breaks yet? We weren't even at that level. We didn't hit like 97-degree heat index till like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And that's why second shift that day got the heat breaks. So when we measured the temperature, we were ranging from like 88, 11 o'clock, we got up to 96 by 2 o'clock degrees, for a
Right.
heat index.
Right.
So they check for that. They make sure that we found our own policy. I'm gonna tell you one thing. He was impressed when he saw all the fans. Like he said, "Oh, you guys got fans through like down the whole line." I said, "Yeah, every station pretty much gets a fan. I know we got some fans that are not working or motors going out because it's hot. Maintenance is on. Keep fixing them. They got some on order." He checked. He looked at the ice chest. We showed him all the ice dispensers we have, the water. And
he also
at
interviewed
no
people,
time,
right?
and they do interviews.
They call
He
people.
didn't do interviews that day. He's gonna do phone interviews because a lot of people were on the line, team leaders on the line, so they couldn't release anybody to do interviews. So he's gonna do phone interviews. We've done that before. Now at one point he says, "Oh, we're at a level, you guys shouldn't be working," because like I said, there's no set temperature for us to stop working.
And I'm with my members. I just wanted to bring that point up because
Yeah.
we hear you. We ain't hiding. Always my favorite line. We ain't ducking no smoke. We ain't ducking no wreck. He was riding around on a cart in the building that you working in. You probably seen him and didn't know who he was. Because I actually seen him with Ronnie. I was walking
Yeah.
from the floor and I seen y'all passing because I was out there checking on the members. Not from no office. Not from no ventilation. Not from no phone. Fat man on the floor wobbling with his folder. Thank God I ain't got no painted on hairline. It's all legit because it would have been melted off because it was hot. But I was out there with y'all is what I'm saying. And I'm telling you.
And then a few people came up to us, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" Because
Yes.
they see the equipment, like, "What are you
Yes.
guys doing?" And he's one of the old school guys, so he had a tripod. We set our monitor, on a railing or
Yeah.
on a table. He
Yeah.
had a tripod and set it. So everybody we wondered, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And we explained to them what we're doing and why we're doing this.
And when we check the heat index too, y'all, we know it's hot up there on the mez. Ronnie, do we
The
go to the
mez,
mez?
yeah, the mez is
And
higher.
I know
You're
chassis.
always 3-4 degrees higher.
We
I went
going.
over to chassis. We were by Edward 26, Henry 26 area. We checked it there with my OSHA. We checked throughout the whole plant when we do it ourselves.
Yep.
We
even
did
took-
trim by the door line, between the door line and skillet. That's when he checked it. So we went to the hottest areas. And he wanted to check an area with air conditioning, so he checked the front lobby where we have air conditioning. Our heat index was 82. And that's what we need in GA. This perfect temperature, heat index in the summer.
So
The
with
only
air
way
qu-
to do that is with tempered air.
With the air quality right now, how many checks are we doing a day right now?
We're doing it every 2 to 3 hours. We're doing a check
Doing a check
throughout the whole, all 3 shifts.
on 3 shifts.
And I've been on Shap Talk, and I've been putting them up, even though I get it, y'all. That's not a formal site, but I see where the trouble gets started at, and my counters, they be like, "Ron, just be careful, go." I just like to meet y'all where the smoke at, and I'm putting it up. I'm showing y'all these real numbers. I ain't making it up. All I got is my credibility, my word. When I lose that, I'm shot as a man. I'm not gonna let nobody take that from me. These real numbers that we putting up. We fighting, we battling. Yes, we need temper air, and that's what's on the agenda. And it's a big agenda, but that's what's on the agenda. But we are doing everything in our power to protect you and to make sure that you getting home safe. Yes, it's hot. And I'm telling you right now, I dread the summer. For the last 14 years, I hate to see the summer coming and my birthday in the summer. But since I've been in the plant, I realized why my father didn't really want to hear nothing about nothing coming home through the summer months. I know now. I know why he tell me, don't tell me about my check, because you ain't in here earning my check. I have to tell my family that. You might get away with it throughout the course of the year, but from June to September, leave me alone, because I'm in here getting hammered for this, and you don't have no idea. So to my people on the floor, don't never think we don't care. Don't never think y'all ain't number one, because without y'all, there is no us. And without y'all, there is no plant. It ain't no management. There's nobody to manage anything without the people.
But
Yes, sir?
the solidarity has to be solid.
Come on.
It can't be so weak that when something, goes wrong, you want to throw the whole union out. You throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
That's what I was trying to
You
say
know
the
what I'm
other day,
saying?
man. I couldn't remember.
And it's sad that people saw all of the committee, saw the president, saw health and safety on the floor, and instead of saying, yeah, we appreciate you guys coming out here, you ain't doing nothing for us, and the solidarity has to be solid. You can't straddle the fence. You got to be all the way in this or all the way out of it, because we got some difficult times ahead of us, and Stellantis is not a traditional U.S. car maker. So the conversations that we used to have with management, they have taken those authorities away. Management and Stellantis eat their young. They got rid of one of the most loved supervisors in the entire plant, Anthony Gladney, who all of the people that ever worked for him know, hey, this is a guy that you want to break your neck for. They ain't get rid of the supervisors that make everybody want to leave the plant. They got rid of the supervisors that make people that want to come to work. And if they're going to eat their young, just imagine what they're going to do to us. And I'll tell you what they're going to do to us. When they catch us wrong, because everybody in here gets the arbitration letters when those judgments are coming down. And where we used to win 6, 7, 8 out of 10, we're lucky if we win 2 out of 11 and 12. This thing is getting very serious. So when you read this local contract, don't read it just to quote it. Read it to understand so you can explain and know how to apply it, because if you apply it wrong, I feel sorry for you.
And I just a quick story, and I'm gonna let it go.
Y'all killing the game.
Mike.
Killing it.
Mike was Mr. Waters. Mike, remember this. I had just became a committee man, and I was literally at a 4th of July barbecue. It was around a holiday, and we were celebrating at my family house. It wasn't quite the holiday, and I remember I had people walk off the line, and I was devastated because I flew. I dropped everything I was doing. Forgot I was a father. I left my kid with her aunties and uncles. They looked up and I was gone. My daughter said, "Where's my daddy?" I was flying to the plant. By the time I got there, my people had bashed out. I'm fat.
I ain't laughing about that.
Please don't laugh at me. Dave Belair was my center.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I'm gonna tell y'all this. I was devastated because when they came to work, I already knew. I was standing there in the lobby because I knew none of their badges was gonna work, and they terminated my people. And I'm fat, and for me to tell you I did not eat. I was devastated. I was devastated. But I'm gonna tell you the one thing that happened, and this one I knew this will actually work. It didn't have nothing to do with the rest of the committee. Man that's sitting next to me, he sat there and said, "Hey y'all, we gonna put all our issues on hold. We got one person in here. We gotta vote trying. We gotta all come together." And I didn't even know he was talking about me. I was just staring out the window because I was trying to figure out. He said, "Ryan, we got you." Right now, Ryan is our #1 issue. That's what we about to go tack down, y'all. And I was able to get them people back to work. When I say the UAW, we was able to get the chassis folks back to work. We all worked it out, but I want to let you know that that's real. So I'm gonna tell you one thing. I was devastated that we was in there working them conditions, but the one thing that I was okay with when I set up on the side of the bed, because I had to come back to work. Left at 4, had to be back by 6:30. I had to come back to work. But the one thing that I woke up and I was happy about, I knew my people had somewhere to come to work to the next day. Because when I had to look at them people in their face and tell them, you have no job. That was one of the most devastating things that I had to do. You never get over that. And in this business, when you become cold enough to look your member in the face and say they don't got a job and you don't care, it's time for you to get out the business. Because that hurt me. That hurt me. So I want to say to my people, we working on a plan so this don't never have to come up again. We working for y'all, and as VP said, the solidarity got to get way more solid. But knowing that y'all had a place to come back to work to, because I'm telling you, home do not feel like home when you don't know how you gonna pay for it. And if you own your home, you still got taxes, and they do like clockwork. That's what I want to leave y'all with. I appreciate everybody standing 10 toes down, but make the right decisions. Now, some of the time, all the time, and that's what you elected us to do, and that's what we had to do that
Trust
night.
your leadership.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Well, with that being said, purpose of this podcast is to address, not to run away from issues. To your point, we all got up to come in there. I put my pants on 2 or 3 times that night, because every time I got home, I was getting
I
called
feel bad,
back,
man,
but
man.
I mean, and we know, the situation's gonna cause that, but at the end of the day, you do gotta trust your leadership, you gotta support your leadership. We can disagree with things behind closed doors, but we can come together and figure out how we make it better, but you have to trust your leadership, especially in critical times, because in those critical times can end up with critical moments that after effects. As a president, I have to trust my leadership. When I say my leadership, I have to trust my vice president, I have to trust my shop chair and the committee, I have to trust my safety reps, I have to trust my business. There's so many people that I have to rely on to make sure that I make the right decision. Right?
That man was mad at me that day when we was on the phone. but that's the job, and people don't understand it. We got to be each other's keeper.
Yes.
And Mike was ready to go ham, and I'm trying to put something in his ear, and he, I'm like, Mike, he's like,
I know.
you got to understand that, we take these situations very personal. This ain't no game to us. We are fighting hard for the membership, but it might sound like a T-shirt, brother. Solidarity has to be solid.
Yeah. And shout out to all the reps that was there.
Oh, yeah.
I ain't about to call no name because I ain't gonna miss nobody. You
All
know
of
who you were. Shout out to every rep from first shift, second shift, and third shift, because we was all tapping in. They was trying to come back in, and we ain't want to excite nobody, so we made the other shifts stay home. And the reps that was there, we did a heck of a job canvassing. Safety was there, all 3 crews.
Yeah,
I ain't never
yeah.
seen all of y'all
Yeah,
together.
yeah,
I say,
yeah.
dang, everybody gonna come, but that was cool.
I
But
get the call
shout
in the
out to
middle of the night,
everybody.
too.
And shout out to those members that was on social media saying, hey,
Yes.
support
Slow
your
down,
union,
back up.
trust your union.
Yeah.
We doing legally what we can do, and that's the big word, legally. The things that we can do, the things that we couldn't do, we had to wait for either the state, OSHA, MyOSHA, the feds, or the negotiation from the top of the international to the top of the Stellantis Corporation to do the right thing, and Stellantis never did. They did the business thing, and you can always count on them to do
the
what's
business
good for the
thing.
business.
And they did it through COVID.
Yeah.
They did it through
Yeah,
chip
COVID's a
shortage.
great example.
I mean,
And that
that's,
lasted for a long time. People
Yeah.
was dying by the hundreds of thousands. And guess who had to go to work? The essential. They made all the work.
actually,
essential.
Shab was the only one that had to go to
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That was
I had,
crazy.
I had to divide the house at that time.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I got somebody that didn't have to go and was looking at me funny. I ain't want
Yeah.
to hear none of that talk, but hey, it is what it is.
Even
so.
even with the chip shortage,
Yeah.
Shab was the only one working.
Yeah. And that's the perils of having a hot product too, though.
Yeah.
It's a blessing and a curse, right? We got a product that the public
Yep.
wants, the world wants it, right? And we produce it. It's a blessing and a curse. We got a job that pays us pretty fair. I ain't gonna say the best because it's always be better,
And it always be worse.
and it always could be worse.
Yep.
We have pretty much what I would say unlimited overtime. It's so much plus, but there's always negatives that comes with those pluses. It's a gift and a curse. But when it comes down to something that's really serious, such as this, the heat, which we deal with every year, but these air concerns, as we spoke on earlier, global warming is here.
That's going to be with us for years to
It's the
come.
It's the new lift. It's
Yes.
new life, right?
Yep.
So we have to adjust and understand we have to be quick on our feet. We got to adjust fast. We're having those conversations. What happened the other day gives us more ammunition to those conversations. We're having those conversations literally right now. We need support, and we need the membership constant support and never to waver. especially when we see and we know something that you guys may not foresee because you're in your emotions. And we have to do things like chess. You have to be calculated in your moves without putting anybody in danger. I agree. That's why I rely on my safety team. With that being said, I'm gonna close it out unless you guys got something you want to add.
No.
No?
Good.
Keep the solidarity solid.
Hey, that's it. That's the new slogan.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that. I like that.
Hey, we're gonna close this podcast out with keep the solidarity solid. Deuces.